Thank you. Thank you for all the times we've crunched,
Cracked,
munched,
dunked.
twisted, and mmm'd together.
Thank you for all the love you've shown us. Returning that love is what inspires us.
At Mondelez International, we understand that the way you live is changing the way you eat. And that you don't want to choose between snacking and eating right.
Right for a delicious bite. Right for your well-being. Right for our planet. That's why at Mondelez International, we want to make snacking right.
All around the world, our makers and bakers are passionate about bringing you the right snack.
For the right moment, made the right way.
Mondelez International. Snacking made right. Thank you. Thank you for all the times we've crunched,
Cracked,
munched,
dunked.
twisted, and mmm'd together.
Thank you for all the love you've shown us. Returning that love is what inspires us.
At Mondelez International, we understand that the way you live is changing the way you eat. And that you don't want to choose between snacking and eating right.
Right for a delicious bite. Right for your well-being. Right for our planet. That's why at Mondelez International, we want to make snacking right.
All around the world, our makers and bakers are passionate about bringing you the right snack.
For the right moment, made the right way.
Mondelez International. Snacking made right.
Hello and good evening. Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you for being here. Let me introduce myself. My name is Anil Vishwanathan. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing for Chocolates for Mondelez, and I also manage the Insights and Analytics function for the business. We are gathered here for the official launch of Mondelez India's Indian B-School Business Challenge called Mondelez Maestros. We're going live from the Dare to Compete platform today. And before I kick off the proceedings for the evening, once again, thank you very much for being here. I hope all of you are safe along with your near and dear ones. And I hope that you're all coping well in these new and strange times. I'm sure many of you are studying and attending courses online, and I hope you've settled down to that, and I hope you continue to pursue your objectives despite the changed circumstances. A heartfelt thank you for joining us today. I hope we're going to keep the evening interesting for you. As you all know, let me introduce you to Mondelez first. We in Mondelez International, for those of you who don't know us well enough, are one of the largest snacking companies in the world. Our purpose is to empower people to snack right. Our vision is to be the leaders of snacking, and we want to lead people to snack right. And we empower people to snack right in over 150 countries around the world. We lead the future of snacking through a combination of myriad iconic global and local brands across the world. We are, of course, one of the largest chocolate businesses in the world, with iconic brands like Cadbury, Lacta, Milka, Alpengold, and many others. We are also the largest biscuit company in the world, with iconic brands like Oreo, Belvita. And closer home, we have a giant business in gum and candy, and big businesses in powdered beverages with iconic brands like Bonvita and Tang. That makes us uniquely placed. We have a unique portfolio of brands that span different categories and serve to inspire people to snack every day in the right way, for the right moment, with the right snack. So that's really about Mondelez. With our global presence, we are a $26 billion company. We believe we are in the right category because snacking is growing across the world, growing not only in developed markets, but also in developing markets. And we're seeing a great headroom for growth, right? So we would like to welcome you into this Mondelez experience, for you to experience this company, our wonderful brands, and really experience us and experience our categories with a much greater level of depth. I'd like to keep this event as interactive as possible. I'm going to be a host for the evening. I'm going to introduce you to a panel who's going to unpack this Mondelez Maestros challenge to you today. Our objective here is to bring alive the challenge, give you a perspective of our organization and what we do, and really through this kick off this evening. Yeah. So, we'd like to keep this conversation interactive. So we have a comment section. So feel free to put in your comments, your questions in the course, and we'll of course try and respond to you in the course of this an hour of engagement that we have with you. What I'd like to do today is really give you a perspective on why we set up Mondelez Maestro and what we want to do with it. We'll give you a little bit of perspective on what the challenge is all about. And after that, we're going to have a little bit of panel discussion with our leaders so that you get a perspective on why this challenge is important for us. Why do we want to give you this challenge and what do we expect from you? And then, of course, we shall leave some time to take questions from you. So with this, I'm going to introduce you to the panel. And before I do that, may I request Himanshu Salil to play the Mondelez Maestros curtain raiser, please. So as you could see, we have hosted this event on Dare to Compete. Registrations are opening up from the 23rd of October. So we welcome you to register on Dare to Compete and of course keep track of all information that's coming up. So let me introduce the panel now to you. We have a diverse panel of Mondelez India leaders who will help unbox and unveil the business challenge for us today. So let me introduce you to them one by one. We have with us Praveen Dalal. Praveen is the head of sales of Mondelez India. Welcome, Praveen. Thank you for joining us. October is an incredibly busy month. Thank you for taking out your time for this evening.
Hi, Anil. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here.
Along with Praveen, we also have Inderpreet Singh. Inder is the marketing director for gum and candy and powdered beverages business for Mondelez India. Welcome, Inder, again for the evening. Inder is iconic because he manages iconic brands like Bonvita, Tang, Eclairs, Halls. Welcome, Inder.
Thanks, Anil. Thanks for the warm welcome and hi, everyone.
And our final panelist is Mahalakshmi, or Maha as we fondly call her. Maha is the head of HR. She is the heart of the organization. Welcome, Maha, to this forum. Great to have you.
Thank you, Anil, and a big welcome to everyone who's dialed in. I mean, it's Friday evening. I'm personally hoping you're all sitting with, one of our snacks as you join us on a Friday evening. So lovely to be here with you all.
Great. So we have our panel with us, and I'm going to go around the panel, ask a few questions, and we'll try and help unlock the business challenge. So I'm going to go clockwise. I think just to kick things off and make it a bit of fun, I'm going to ask a little bit of a fun question to our panelists, starting with Praveen. I think, Praveen, two questions to you. Firstly, tell us what your favorite Mondelez snack is. And secondly, since it's the time of the pandemic, I want you to go back to when you were in campus and imagine that you were in campus and the pandemic happened then. What would you have missed the most in campus? So 2 questions.
I think the first one, Anil, it's one of the brands that your sort of category handles is fuels. That's what I go to any time of the day, morning, evening, whatever. That's the go-to snack. Even prior to joining Mondelez, I think that's been a favorite there. The second one is I think what I miss most. My campus was in Lucknow. I am Lucknow, so I think at this point of time, winters would have just been starting to set in. So I would miss, I think, the tea in the night along with friends discussing completely what we used to call arbit sort of stuff, random stuff discussing in the night. That's what I would miss the most.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Praveen, for liking Fuse. I hope a few million others also do that. And yes, the evening chais in campus is of course one of the things that you'd miss. Over to you, Inder. What's your favorite Mondelez snack, and what would you miss the most were you in campus during pandemic?
Well, I would my favorite actually Mondelez snack is it's no guess. It's Cadbury Dairy Milk. Anytime, any day, just pop it up and eat it up. So it always brings a smile to your face, brings a smile to everyone else's face around. So I remember on my birthdays how I used to get it, and always savor it. And the second one, a bit similar to what Praveen said. Actually, I would miss. So I'm Calcutta. I would miss sitting near the jetty, chit-chatting with friends, having general long discussions or small chats through the night. And what the pandemic has done is actually taken that away, So I would really miss that part of life of campus.
Absolutely, yeah. A couple of us belonging to the wonderful campus in the east of India. Yes, we can think of some time by the jetty, indeed. Maha, over to you. Your favorite Mondelez snack, and what would you
Well,
miss
I have
about it?
2 actually. I think my ongoing favorite is Silk. But I think I have a new love, which is out of our Cadbury campaign, where we co-created our next flavor of Cadbury's with all of India. And there is one flavor there, which is Panjeer or Panjeer, which is created by Prabjot. So Prabjot, I don't know if you're here, but you created a rocking product. I love it. I managed to get my hand on it today. So Panjeer is my favorite product. Back to what I miss, and if I was in campus and pandemic was on. Well, I come from a campus which is called IMT Ghaziabad. So I'm a lateral. I'm not an IT student Mondelez. But we had this place called Amphi, which was an amphitheater. And Amphi nights would be about sitting, creating music, creating some wacko ideas about entrepreneurship. I think some of the best ideas and the best bonding happened in the Amphi. So I would have really missed my Amphi. And I'm sure, you know how all of us are at campus, right? We would have created a virtual Amphi within a week or two, I'm sure. But I would have really missed the connection at the Amphi.
Absolutely. Thank you, Maha. Yeah, indeed. I think campus brings alive all those lovely memories of conversations, friends, connections, ideas, thoughts, on all that we learned in campus, indeed. So moving on from this, I think let me introduce, formally this B-School Challenge, Mondelez Maestros. I think how this journey began. I think as an organization, we have always believed in the power of the student community. Through our ITS program and through our summer internship program, we've always believed getting in a fresh set of eyes, getting in unconstrained thinking has always helped us solve business challenges. Quite often, we and our teams get stuck up in the day-to-day business challenges, and we often are unable to pull ourselves back and look at something with completely fresh eyes. And that's where we always believed in our summer internships to have live projects, which are live business problems to solve for. And we've always found great solutions, which we've then gone ahead and implemented. So in the same light, we thought we must continue to foster this bringing in of fresh ideas and unrestricted thinking. And I think that was one of the reasons as we thought about creating this platform. And of course, why now? Now, primarily because I think this year of the pandemic has really tested, the agility of businesses in real time. our kind of business, a large part of it is impulse. It was hugely disrupted, and we had to go through a fair amount of pivots to turn around the challenges that we had, to move swiftly. Praveen and his sales teams, how they were able to recorner and drive sales back despite the pandemic, and of course Inder and his categories and the biscuits categories, how they leverage the opportunity coming out of people staying in home to grow businesses. So I think we've experienced the need to be much more agile, and to really demonstrate some of the key imperatives that we believe is important in Mondelez. One of having a growth mindset and growing every day, right? And in the spirit of that, we've actually been doing quite a few test and learn initiatives in our business across the functions, of trying to test and figure out business problems through experiments, through pilots, by taking some small risks and really putting stuff out there. And rather than ideating in our labs, getting out there and being agile and taking risks. And pretty much in the same spirit, we thought, why don't we test the waters? And we have some life challenges with us. COVID has brought alive a few more challenges. And we thought, why don't we channel this brilliant creativity and intelligent minds that are there in the campuses, and really engage with them, amplify our campus engagement with this group of brilliant people, and look at some business problems to solve for. And that's really the context. That's why we're setting up Maestros. That's why we're setting this up as an online challenge, and we hope you're all up for it. And that's really the context. And with that context in mind, let me ask Maha to share a little bit of your thoughts, Maha, on how does Maestro sit in the larger people and talent strategy for Mondelez? And in your view, what's the core objective? And what would you think, and what your message would be to the audience?
Thank you, Anil. So, folks, the entry talent strategy is a very integral part of our talent strategy. At any point of time, when we look at our BU leadership team or the India leadership team, anywhere between 25 to 33% of the leadership team is typically folks who started with us fresh out of campus. Anil, who's our MC of the day and is our head of chocolates, also started with us straight out of IIM Calcutta many years ago. So, not only that, a lot of our eye tasters, have become preferred talent for roles outside of India as well. And some of them go out, come back, and go out again. And I think in that sense, the eye taste program is absolutely core to our talent strategy. Now, what is Maestros and why a business challenge suddenly? And let me be very honest and candid. Some of your seniors, have been giving us feedback, and we've been listening very intently. What I hear from them is that the actual experience of working with us as Mondelez is way more cool than how we showed up in our campus presentations. So some of your seniors worked with us to digitize our route to market or co-create the Madbury campaign, and interns. And I don't know if Shilpi from IMB is on the call, or if IMB is here, please make some noise and do some clicking so that we know you're there. But we had summer interns who worked with us to launch one of the 7 new launches that we launched during this pandemic, which is a cereal that we piloted in 2 cities called Bombita Fills. So, I think the actual immersive experience of working with Mondelez was much more exciting than what a presentation could tell at campus. So here's what we thought. The intent of Maestros as a business challenge was to say, how can we give an early immersive experience to all of our campuses on what it's really like to work with us? And there are 3 things that make it really unique. One, it's immersive. So through something called the Know Our Consumer or a KYC app, people who participate in this will get a very close experience of what is consumer immersions and get a first-hand feel of contacting and engaging with consumers. 2, the program design has planned mentoring opportunities. So we will have a panel of mentors assigned to the shortlist, and that is part of the plan. And the most exciting part, is really something that we put in called the grand roast. I think agility and growth mindset is really what has made us thrive. So we want to check if you have it in you. So we will be roasting the finalists, and the finalists will get a chance to roast us back as the leadership team. So real and fun, truly the Mondelez way is really how Maestros is really planned out.
Thank you, Maha. Indeed, thanks for bringing alive the notion of mentoring and the kind of resources that are going to be available for people to experience both the company and the challenge in a live way. I'm keeping track of the comments. Good to see lots of hellos from FMS. I am Lucknow, SP Jain, um, and a few others. Keep your comments coming. Moving on, thank you, Maha. Moving on to Praveen. So, Praveen, tell us a little bit more. So, what's the challenge all about? What's the solve that you're looking for?
Yeah, I'll go there, Anil. But I think keeping with the spirit of a Friday evening, I think we missed asking you the same question that you asked us. What would you miss in Calcutta?
I miss in Calcutta. Of course, I'll have to edit a lot of it because it might not be appropriate in this forum. But the permissible elements that I would miss is really Calcutta is all about food, so I'll miss a lot of the bomb food. But more than that, I mean, it's the conversations, and the part that I belong to is we claimed ourselves to be the most popular part of the campus. It was called D-Top. And D-Top conversations are legendary. So, and quite a few sales and marketing enthusiasts were there. So we used to spend a lot of time chatting about stuff around that. So that's what I would miss the most.
Yeah, and this is Pujo time. I think yesterday was Shashti, so
yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that this is also Pujo time in Calcutta. So now overall activity with social distancing obviously must be at its peak in the new normal that we are living through. Anyway, coming back to the question that you asked, I think at Mondelez, Anil, and you have been part of this organization for a pretty long period, as Maha mentioned. I think innovation has been a key lever for growth that we've had over these years, bringing out meaningful, relevant products which not only meet the needs of consumers but also at times exceed those consumer expectations. I think that's been the hallmark of success here, and that's a core part of our growth strategy going forward as well. Now, as part of this, just to mention, I think even if one was to look at how and just a here and now snippet, and even during these pandemic times in the last 2 to 3 months, I think teams around us have successfully come to market with four new innovations, three offerings, be it the Madberry that Maha referred to, be it the Chocofills under the Bonvita nutrition portfolio that Inder leads. And I honestly thought Inder would say that's the favorite snack that he's having. But yeah, I think full marks for honesty there to Inder. I think those are two. Another one that Inder team has brought about is the at-home consumption of candy under the Chocolate's Gold Coffee variant that's come up. And then also our entry into strengthening our entry into the Choco Bakery space through the Choco Bake cakes that we've been able to do. I think so. If I were to summarize, I think pre-COVID innovation was a big lever for our growth. During COVID, we have stayed with meeting the needs of the consumers, and that's where innovation is going now. And even post COVID, that's continuing to be a key pivot of our growth. Now we have a wide, as you mentioned, a wide array of snacks that we sort of play in. And as part of that, strengthening of the nutritional portfolio, the morning snacking space, Chocofills under the Bonvita space is a new entry that we have made. We do feel and we do realize that there is a larger potential size of prize that could exist there in this morning space, in the morning snack space, and that's what this challenge is largely about. Now, what I mean, morning snacks obviously is those tasty little bites that you have in the morning, which not only fulfill or rather cater to your taste buds, but also ensure that obviously appease your hunger, and finally are also making sure that you get your dose of energy and nutrition for the day. I think that's where we are seeing an opportunity, and we see there is a gap there for us to do. So the challenge is all about, I think, for the participants to discover what are those attitudes in India, globally, as well as what are the trends that are sort of going on in the morning snacking space, and then come back possibly with a big what I think we call a big bet, a big bold idea which Mondelez can take up and make it live and get success there. I think that's what the challenge is all about. Like Maha said, I think the real fun lies in acting on a live, real challenge, and that's what this challenge is all about.
Thanks, Praveen. Yeah, when I was back in campus, my morning used to begin at 12. I believe these days people are a bit more studious. So I guess indeed morning snacking for this generation is indeed a big opportunity for us. So morning snacking, guys, if you heard that well, I'm going to summarize this at the end of the day. But how do we grow snacking in the morning? Simple, large, big, exciting challenge for you to think about. Just think about yourself and what you do in the mornings, what do you snack on, and where do you think the Mondelez portfolio of brands or anything new from Mondelez could tap into morning snacking. So it's completely up to you and your creative juices and your minds to flow. And of course, we're going to give you a lot of dope around it. So continuing the conversation, and now over to you, Inder. I mean, you've understood the business challenge in a nutshell. It's about morning snacking. So for the benefit of students, if you take a step back and give a little bit more perspective around snacking, Inder. Your perspective on snacking, what the snacking space is all about, how rapidly is it growing, and why is snacking important, and why is Mondelez chosen to play in snacking? So just share a few thoughts around that.
Sure. Thanks, Anil. Before I start, I must say my mornings also used to begin at 12, but the other 12. Going back to campus days. But talking about snacking, snacking, it's a very, very, very big market out there. Our estimate is about 1.2 trillion globally is the size of the snacking market. So it's in some sense a mammoth size, and it's growing indeed very well. Coming closer home in India as well, it's a very big market. We recently did our survey and a research last year, which told us A, that the market is growing big time, but B, it's growing exponentially now. So what we learned was that 7 out of 10 consumers in India agree to the fact that they are today snacking more often than they were previously. B, the same 70-odd%, which is 7 out of 10, also admitted that they tend to snack more often next year as well. I think it's a combination of time being compressed, combination of convenience, lifestyle, and we see this trend growing bigger and bigger. Given all of this, and given where we are as a company, and some of that you also mentioned in the beginning, I mean, we have an array of super power brands with us. We talk about Bonvita, we talk about 5-Star, talk about Oreo, Toblerone, Milka, Lacta, all of them super brands that we have, and all of them are based on snacking. And not to mention India's most trusted brand, Cadbury itself. B, we've been in this business for many years. We're not a new player out here. And through these years, we've kind of garnered and gathered an enormous amount of wisdom on how to run this business, be it in terms of product construction, be it in terms of supply chain, be it in terms of consumer insights, what people want, what they want to consume at what point of day. So we know it all. And when you marry these two together, it's a no-brainer. There's a big market, growing well, growing handsomely. Today, another data point that I recall is that Indians today consume more snacks in terms of occasions versus meals put together. So if there's a big market and there's a growing market where we have strengths in terms of our brands and our ability to win, it's a no-brainer. We should go all out and make the most out of it. So that's the rationale.
Thanks, Inder. And of course, indeed, as very rightly said, I think there's a great opportunity out there on snacking, and we want to make the most of it. And I think with that setup, I think just a couple of points from my end to the teams around the business challenge, and a little bit unpacking snacking patterns in India, just as reference for you. I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah, and just one page to give you a sense. we do a fair amount of work with consumers. We believe that everything begins with the consumer. And consumer is the heart of everything that we do. And as we understood the snacking space in India, I think some interesting insights for you to keep in mind. I think, and the snacking space and the snacking study that we've done is a global study, not just about India, but across all markets. And some interesting differences between India and the globe. Indians snack more socially than the rest of the world. So more social snacking happens in India than the rest of the world. The rest of the world is more indexed towards solo. So it's 60-40 solo in the world, and it's exactly the opposite for India. Interestingly, in India, lots more people snack in the morning than the rest of the world. So the average snacking time in India is 12 noon, whereas for many other parts of the world, it's 2 p.m. So India is a early riser and early snacker. I presume all of you know what snacking is all about, right? It's snacking between the full meals, right? When people enable anything and everything. And within that, I mean, it's interesting that we find that from a Mondelez set of products, we're all skewed towards evening. And that's where the opportunity area, as we spoke about, and hence the problem for you to figure out, how do we grow the space in the morning. In the morning, there's a lot of snacking that happens along with milk, along with the morning chai, and also through the morning, through activities. And that's where we have multiple occasions that come up. You're a youngster, you skipped breakfast, you're on the go, you're late for class, you grab a snack. You're a family of 4, and it's a weekend morning, and you're having a snack together. You are a housewife working at home, and you want to take a break between your chores. So lots and lots of snacking spaces in the morning where a lot of snacking is happening, and that's where the opportunity is. I think some very interesting anecdotes about India also. I think in India, there's a lot of belief that snacks should be healthy. But healthy in India is all about more. It's all about more natural, more goodness, more fresh. It's all about more, and it's not about less as in the rest of the world. And really the best representation of healthy is how an Indian would describe that a freshly made aloo paratha with a dollop of fresh butter is really healthy. Yeah. So I think that's some interesting anecdotes about how snacking is all about more wholesome and full of great quality and taste. The interesting thing is the most important attribute for Indians when it comes to a snack is taste. And that's where imagine our portfolio and the kind of myriad tastes that we can provide and how those tastes can be relevant in the morning. I think interesting taste cannot be compromised. And of course, then you do see the trends around people trying to figure out permissibility and how they can bring in permissibility and taste together to make some choices for themselves that feels acceptable for them in the morning. So those are a little bit of anecdotes that I wanted to share as a single picture so that you get a sense of the problem that we want you to solve. And now going back to Praveen, I think my question to you, Praveen, is in the context of snacking and snacking through the day, give us a little bit of tips, Praveen, on what's happening on the sales front, and some of the drivers of snacking in sales. And given that a lot of disruption has happened on COVID, what do you think has happened in terms of shopper and shopping when it comes to sales? Any insights from you? Praveen, are you there? Did I miss you? Can you all hear me?
Hi,
You can? Good, thank you.
I can hear you, Anil. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, Praveen. Yeah. Over to you. Did you hear the question, Praveen? Should I repeat the question?
Oh, fine. Yes. No, I heard the question, Anil. Yeah. Are you still able to hear me? If you can give me a thumbs up, I'll understand.
Thumbs up.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So what I was saying, Anil, yes, I think with COVID coming in, the situation on the sales front, I think initial days, because there are teams which have to which are engaged in ensuring that our loved brands are available to consumers and shoppers where they seek it. That became challenging, and we've seen some trends which are at a significant deviation from the pre-COVID days. I'll cover possibly two channels where we are seeing where we are seeing shifts there. One is I think the one that is dominant for us is the traditional trade, or what we the kirana stores that are all around us. What we have seen is that consumers and shoppers, largely owing to the need for safety and traveling less, rather shopping in the proximity of their residences. I think the footfalls, as we call it, has clearly increased to the traditional trade stores. So there are more shopping trips happening to stores near your homes, and which is where TT or traditional trade comes in. There are more shopping trips now that we are seeing basis our insight work to the chemists within the traditional trade space. So clearly, our route to market therefore has evolved accordingly, and saying, okay, how do we ensure that the consumer, the shopper, does not get faced with a situation where he or she doesn't find the brands that they're seeking. Because at this time, one of the emerging needs that we realized early on was that all of us do seek our trusted brands and the packaged food brands that are there, because these are not only convenient but are also hygienic and safe in that sense, and that's what consumers were looking for. So I think a lot of work that's gone on there. So there are shifts there, obviously, that one is seeing. Within the organized trade, or rather the modern trade, also there is a shift that we are seeing, and our teams are working on it. Is what we've seen is that again, with the need to socially distance and be safe, consumers and shoppers are flocking more to smaller format stores. So rather than go to the large big box hyper market stores, people are now shifting to what we call a super format or convenience stores in that space. So clearly there is a shift in sales throughput that we are seeing within the modern trade space. And as time progresses and we are in various unlock phases in the country, this continues to shift. So I think the insight team in that sense has been pretty busy, saying, feeding in, discovering these insights, and coming back and saying, how do we tweak our route to market? I think that's one piece that's still evolving. But the bigger shift, I think the big daddy of the shifts is the obvious one, is how consumers and shoppers have moved on to adopt e-commerce during this phase. What we are seeing, Anil, even prior to the pandemic, clearly, the industry, the e-commerce industry, was taking big strides in FMCG. Within that, was expected to grow to a certain level. I think 200 billion is the number that multiple research agencies have quoted by around 2026 or so. What we do see with the tailwinds that the pandemic has given, that number may be achieved much faster than that, maybe a couple of years before that. And that's where a lot of discussion is sort of happening. So clearly we are seeing e-commerce, the channel, growing at a much faster pace, and consumers, shoppers seeking the snacking options on that channel. And going with our philosophy, and being aligned with being available and making snacking options available to wherever the shopper is going to, we have been partnering the e-commerce channel very strongly, and therefore the investment, the commitment is really going in there. And to quickly cover, I think three levers is what we are looking at. We continue to invest strongly in the people, both talent and their capabilities on that side. We continue to invest in technology and partnerships with multiple partners, right from, say, Amazon or a Big Basket, right down to, say, a Nearby or a VFast, to make sure consumers get their options. And the third one being, how do we continue to build the occasion part through the e-commerce platform. And the other element, I think, where I think the organization, as an organization, we are focused sharply on is the direct-to-consumer website that we have. Now, that's something that we have strengthened over this period, and we are seeing significant amount of traction coming there. So a lot of insight work, a lot of what we call as paths to purchase work that's going in over there to build and make that a preferable site for consumers to go for their snacking options. So e-commerce clearly is where I would say a big shift. So much so that we've almost doubled the salience of business that's coming in from e-commerce now vis-a-vis the pre-COVID days.
Super. Thanks, Praveen. I mean, compliments once again the way you've led the team and managed the crisis and the way we've come around. And definitely, e-commerce has become the has become the go-to solution for all of us, right? I mean, that's possibly become our lifeline in many ways. Moving on to Inder. I mean, clearly the way Praveen is also mentioning, looks like a large part of our year. And pretty much as we look back at 2020, 15 years from now, it almost seems like there's going to be a BC and an AC. Earlier it used to be BC and AD, now it's a BC and AC before COVID and after COVID. So tell us a little bit your views in terms of what shifts are you seeing in consumer behavior? And which of them are fads which are likely to disappear and which of them are here to stay. Maybe also for the students to get a sense around implications for their business challenge as well, what they should keep in mind.
Sure. Thanks, Anil. I like the way you said BC and AC. It's indeed quite true. In fact, I mean, the pandemic that all of us are living, people say that perhaps it's once in a lifetime, an event like this, black swan event like this happens. So, yes, I think a lot of changes that have happened over the last few months. I think the biggest one, the first one is the fact that when lockdown happened, most of us were confined to our houses and our homes. And what we saw, at least during that time, was, and this is something that perhaps everyone in the audience will also relate to, when you're sitting at home, you're a bit worried, you're a bit anxious, you tend to munch more. So just the sheer lockdown, sitting at home, made people eat more. It's indeed true. All of us can relate to it at a certain level. In-home consumption went up. Another thing linked to that is that since most of the restaurants, most of the bakeries, or outside things were closed, people started making and baking stuff at home. So recipes they went up big time. We saw the same in our business, and I'm sure it's true for the food category in itself. So a lot of people cooking, making cakes, making souffles, making even Indian desserts using our products, Oreos, Cadbury's, Gems, Tang, so and so forth, in their preparations and actually delighting themselves at home. So I think that's the other trend that we saw. Third trend, something even Praveen spoke about. I think folks, there's a bit of anxiety of stepping out into the crowd, and hence ordering in, especially when it comes to daily necessities through e-commerce, went up big time, and hence the parts of portfolio, parts of products which are more amenable and available in e-com saw a big jump at that point of time. We also saw a big surge in, we're still seeing, and I think this is here to stay, this will continue, in health and wellness products, because it's become top of mind. Specifically said out here, products that give immunity started flying off the shelf. Anything that helps you fight the pandemic, anything that strengthens you from inside. And that trend, I believe, will continue for some time. I hope it continues for longer as well, just for everyone else around. A last one that we are seeing is the pandemic has affected different folks in different ways. So there's a set of folks, let me call them haves, and the set of folks who are have-nots. The haves actually have started buying bigger, larger packs. So if you're buying 500 grams of chocolate or Bonvita or Oreo, let's say for that matter, they started, holding in. They started buying 1 kilo, then 2 kilos, and so on and so forth. So, consumption went up. And the have-nots, which were a big challenge on money, they've kind of downgraded to the ₹5 and the ₹10s. Well, previously they might be buying more expensive products. So not a simple straight-cut answer, but these are the kind of trends we have seen that have kind of panned out due to COVID for us.
Thanks, Inder. I mean, indeed, it's important to be reflective. The point that you made around haves and have-nots, and I think all of us who are part of the haves definitely need to reflect on and have a broader outlook, and definitely makes us feel a sense of gratitude towards the fact that we are all well and we're comfortable and we are safe when many others aren't and they are affected. And we do see long-term effects of that. So I think keeping an eye out on different parts of the country and how that behaves is also an important input and a potential point for students to note as they're thinking about this challenge. I think wrapping up this panel, I think finally going back to Maha, to you, I think, in many ways, this Maestros challenge where we're inviting people to think differently and be innovative. And, from a Mondelez perspective, we do believe in innovation very strongly. We think it's one of the a core parts of a success driver for us. So tell us a little bit more, Maha, in terms of innovation. What's been the Mondelez kind of story behind innovation? What does it take for an organization, for a group of people to be innovative, and some stimulus for the students as well?
No, absolutely. And I think, while I don't think I have a perfect recipe, but I think there are 4, 5 things that, perhaps I feel are the secret sauce behind how we've continued to innovate, not only over the last 18, 24 months, but specifically, when I speak to my peers in the industry around, 7 innovations during the pandemic, I don't think anyone believes it, So I think if I roll back to say perhaps what's there, and the reason it's important to all of you all listening in is perhaps obviously we look for that ethos in people we would want to hire. So there are a few. Let me start with purpose. I think the fact that globally our purpose really inspires us to keep innovating. We want to lead the future of snacking, which essentially means that anytime anyone wants to put anything in their mouth other than the 3 big meals, we should have a product there. Whether it's to nourish, whether it's to celebrate, whether it's to really rejoice alone or with somebody. So I was just tracking the chat box. So I love the way Devash has put it, Devash Tripathi. He said, starting from morning snacks and ending with late night cravings, Mondelez is with me. Well, that is very close to what drives our innovation, because our purpose is that we want to lead the future of ensuring that anytime anyone wants to snack, we have some product that meets that specific need. So purpose has really driven our innovation. Second is we are inherently a consumer at heart company. If you go back to the last 45 minutes of this conversation, the number of time Anil, Praveen, Inder spoke about consumer, I'm sure by now you've figured that, understanding the consumer and understanding what they feel like doing. Even amidst the pandemic, hey, they're actually whipping up recipes and, cocooning at home and cooking, or they're getting the sense of saying, I want to say thank you to people who really supported me. I think understanding that has been at the heart of us figuring where we go next. And I think that's super important. The third thing perhaps is my favorite, which is growth mindset and agility. One is to understand the consumer. Second is to do something with it. I think we've been pretty quick, to Praveen's point on e-commerce, for example, becoming big, very quickly pivoting the organization and capability to move talents to focus on e-commerce when that became big. To pivot quickly to say, hey, we need to have something for morning snacking. Let's co-create. And that's my fourth one. We have a culture and an ethos of a startup inside a large snacking giant. We love to experiment. We love to get on board people who love to experiment, and we don't necessarily want to do it alone. I saw a lot of noise being made by a lot of people from SP Gen who are on this call. We did last year do an innovation partnership with SP Gen. And if you Google up snack futures, you'll realize that we are also investing in small startups to really see, is there something we can learn in spaces we don't operate in so that we can truly lead the future of snacking. So back to innovation, driven by purpose that we want to lead the future of snacking, anchored by our understanding of consumer and a constant continuing to try and understand what's changing with the consumer, doing some action with it with agility, and 4, continuing to partner, continuing to co-create and have that test and learn ethos. Perhaps these are 4 or 5 things that have really helped us launch some of these innovations. Now the question is, do you have it in you to kind of demonstrate some of these? And we are really going to check that out on Maestros, with the roast and without the roast.
Thank you, Maha. Thank you, Maha. Thank you, Maha, to bring it all together. I think folks. Yeah, so that was the panel for all of you. I hope you got the perspective. I'm conscious that some of you might have joined in late. So just summarizing the business challenge in two simple words: morning snacking. Yeah, that's the simple brief, 2-word brief. You heard Praveen talk about how people are shopping differently. You heard Praveen talk about giving a little bit of perspective about the business challenge. You heard Inder talk about how things have changed, BC and AC, and what things are likely to remain, what things are likely to influence morning snacking. You heard Maha talking to you about mindset and the way you need to think about the problem and how you need to apply yourself. We've given you enough dope, and of course, there's a lot of dope available of the right kind on the internet from which you can get, and we're going to give you more and more information over a period of time on the platform. So I think that's kind of bringing it all together, folk, for you, and we're soon going to try and answer a few of your questions. But before that, let me invite Salil. And Salil, if you could introduce yourself, say hello to the 500 odd people we have, and then give a little bit of the specific details around Mondelez Maestros. Mondelez Maestros is your baby, Salil. So over to you. Salil, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anil, and pleasure to be a part of this launch event. And it's absolutely exciting to see the comment section, so much of action from a lot of students from our partner institutes. Keep those questions coming. What I will do now, as I'll just quickly take you through the plan of our competition, the timelines. Here is the slide that's coming up. Yeah, there you go. So as you can see, we are launching this event today. We will have registrations opening up immediately after the event, and we will be opening these registrations for a certain time till 30th of October. So we request all of you to create your teams and look at the rules and regulations and criteria and register yourself by 30th of October. It is post that you will start your work, and essentially based on these inputs that we have given and some more information that will be there on D2C website, you're expected to submit your big idea to us to a video submission. So that's a bit of a twist we have made, that we want you all to make a small video. More details will be available on the website, but make a video submission which will be then evaluated by us. Then of course we will have the consumer immersion and team mentors assigned to those who are shortlisted for the second round. And this is where you will get a period of about 15 days where you will make the second submission, which is a PowerPoint submission, again on D2C platform, to expand your big idea. And finally, those who will be in the final, in the grand finale for the roast, they will be coming on board on 2nd of December, and that's where the roast will take place for the finalists. And as all of us have been saying, that's a very interesting concept that we are trying to use in this competition. So that's really the timeline. I know it is quite compressed and crunched, but I'm sure all of you will be excited and will be able to give it your best to submit your ideas. Over to you, Anil.
Thanks, Salil. Quite simple, clear, and I can't wait for the roast. So looking forward to some exciting proposals at the roast. I just love it. So I think we'll wrap up. We have a few questions, so I'm going to quickly maybe just do a little bit of traffic management around that. And I think we have a question from Sayan Hari from I am Lucknow, and Praveen, that's linked to DTC. And this Sayan's question is that are consumers moving to the DTC only for gifting, or are they visiting it for smaller individual SKUs, possibly for self-consumption? So what are you seeing, and are we seeing a pivot around DTC?
No, thanks, Sam, for the question. I think we did in the initial days see some traffic, some consumers coming on to the D2C for individual sites as well. But let's just for understanding purposes, I think the philosophy that we have is clearly one, be available where the shoppers shop and where it is easier for them to shop. So clearly the bigger players, I think players who have the expertise to deliver all SKUs, be it small ones, large ones, in the full basket as we call it. I think those are the spaces where consumers are preferring. So clearly, over a D2 for your usual small SKU solutions for your snacking or for any other need, I think it is those sites that the consumers are preferring. However, what we have seen in these days is gifting occasions themselves, have increased manifold. So I think opportunities which consumers were able to fulfill through other shopping means in the past, I think those occasions is what has shifted to our D2C site. And this, possibly in the past we would say an occasion is something like a Rakhi or a Diwali or that. But what we have clearly seen, and the teams have done a great work on, is as simple occasion as the birthday of of our let's say of my son or of somebody's brother or sister. I think those are common everyday occasions that our D2C is now solving for through the unique offerings that we have and personalized offerings that we have on the D2C side.
Thanks, Praveen. Thanks. Moving on, there's a question around savory snacks and namkeens. So, Inder, you want to take that? The question is clearly Indians also have a great liking for all things savory and namkeen and spicy. So, does Mondelez India think it's an area that we will explore in the future?
No, true. I mean, we love our namkeen, so to speak. Yes, I think it's a big space. When you talk about overall gamut of snacking, and you can divide it in sweet and savory. You can also divide morning and evening, so to speak. So we're looking at all gamuts of snacking. We are predominantly today a lot of sweet for sure. I mean that's the heritage that which we are. That brings us to where we are. And that kind of powers us for future as well. But is savory a big space? Yes. Is it growing? Yes. Is it exciting opportunity? Yes.
Nice, clear answer, Inder. Thank you for that. I think the next there are next couple of 2 or 3 questions in a similar space around this whole trend around health and implications of that. There are a few versions of the same question from different people. So let me pass that on to Maha, because I know that there's an area of quite a lot of passion for you, Maha. What is your sense in terms of firstly, what's your view on the trend, and what is Mondelez doing about it?
Yeah, and maybe I'll start and welcome all of you all to build. I think it's a great point, and I think when we come from demand spaces, and if I made this big statement to say, anytime you feel like consuming anything other than the 3 big meals, we want to play there. Obviously, there are moments wherein you want to nourish yourself, sometimes right after the gym, sometimes when you're super famished. And I think there are a few ways we've begun to address that. Okay. The first is we realize consumers are increasingly extremely conscious of what are they putting in their mouth, and therefore wanting to know the ingredient. And what is there in the ingredient, is that healthy for me, and making that trade-off and saying, hey, I don't want this ingredient. But if it has this, I mean, I'm gonna consume. So that's really one. The second is really portion control, and I think what we try to do is to ensure that in our offerings, we have offerings that cater to a family pack, which the full family can consume, or an individual consumer. So we are also offering bite-sized packs, and therefore playing with packaging so that we offer both kinds has been the second thing. So conscious of ingredients and conscious of putting that in the pack. Playing with portion control has been second. 3, I would say, hey, have you had Bonvita? And putting the nutrition benefits of some of our products, which whether it's the cocoa in chocolate or the 1.5 glass of milk, which is there subtly in the dairy milk, packaging, or when you look at all the benefits of Bonvita, and how it adds to immunity, and also for women, by the way. It is a strong player, not only in terms of adding calcium, but iron, So I think there are some things we are doing in health, but I agree that perhaps we have more products under the treat or the treat-like, basket. And I love a comment that somebody's put in saying, can you find a way of making it healthy without taking away taste? That has really been our attempt. We don't want to make it boring and healthy. Can we make it yummy and healthy is really, I think, where our direction continues to be. But let me pause and actually invite Anil, Inder, and Praveen if they have any bit.
Yeah, I mean, just building on your point, Ma, I think you captured all of it very well. But the only addition that I would like to say is, remember the simple mantra, keep the consumer at the heart. I'm sure all of us are extremely health conscious. I'm sure you're keeping track of how many calories you consume today, how much sugar you consumed, how many calories you burned, how many kilometers you ran, and how post evening you've not consumed anything unhealthy. Da da da. Yeah, true or maybe untrue. So yeah, maybe go to the consumer and let's see what the consumer says. And definitely there are desires. I think the interesting bit that we always found is the consumer is looking for choice, and as category leaders, our job is to provide choice and choice, and that's really the thing, because the whole notion is the right snack for the right moment made the right way. So there's always the right snack for the right moment. Let the consumer make the choice. That's the only build that I have. I'm conscious that we're running out of time, so I'm going to, kind of close things up. We're going to keep a note of the questions. Thanks for the questions, guys, and we're going to come back to you, respond to you separately. But I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to do a little bit of a wrap up now. And as we check out, I mean, we definitely want to wish you guys all the best. We're looking forward to lots and lots of registrations. A very simple 2-word problem for you to solve, and just be completely agile, be jugadu, keep the consumer at the heart of it. And yeah, we look forward to lots and lots of interesting entries to roast. As we check out, I think instead of asking all my fellow panelists on tips, I just want to make it a little bit more fun. So Praveen, you have a bunch of IIM Lucknow students, and given that you're an alma mater from there, alumnus from there, any words on advice on how you can get the IIM Lucknow teams to win?
I think, yeah, not only for the IML piece, though I am pretty optimistic, we will clearly, possibly look at winners from there. But leaving that aside, I think it's time to sort of, if I were to try and sum it up in one phrase, possibly show us how you can solve the hunger and nutrition piece, the morning hunger creatively, solve it for us. So that would be my piece. That's what it would be, and be bold. Go into areas where otherwise you wouldn't really think about. Be creative in solving this issue.
Thanks, Praveen. You've been very gentle. Inder, so what's your take? What do you think? Firstly, do you think IMC will beat IML Hollow, or what's your one of a few tricks for the IMC students?
May the best team win. So I'll kind of sit out on this one. But I think only piece of advice that I will give to all the students is, in life and also in this business case that you're going to help us solve, don't just think from the head, but also think from the heart. It is very true, especially for a business of food. You think from heart, you don't think from head when you go to food, and that's how you relate to food. For all of those who are interested in making commercial career, sales and marketing, life is not just about logic. You got to also put a bit of magic in it. So employ both, not just the insights, but the foresights as well, right? So mix and match and create a recipe and show us that.
Absolutely, both Praveen and Inder refusing to take the bait. And let me throw the bait onto Maha. So Maha, representing the North and representing FMS Delhi and IMT Ghaziabad. I'm saying FMS Delhi because they also need a shout out. Lots and lots of students from there. So your words of advice if FMS Delhi has to win, or IMT Ghaziabad has to win, or anybody has to win?
Yeah, let the unusual win. Come on, guys. We can't have the same old winning all the time. So come on, let's kind of warm it up. Let's kind of see if some unusual winners can come up, Even if it's from the IMs, can it be a unique team? How are you unique? Come tell us how you're unique, And if I had a tip, I would say 2 things. Okay, one, I learned after I joined Mondelez 5 years ago, I am a major consumer of these snacks, but I am not representative of the entire consumers because there are different TGs with very different interests. So my first tip would be think about entire socio-demographic of India and what do they really want for their morning snack. So that's my first tip. My second tip is, guys, please have fun, okay? Just have fun and use this opportunity to get to know us, get to know our brands, get to know snacking, learn a lot, do a lot, and, well, get set for the roast. We are not going to make it easy for you, so you watch out.
Thank you, Maha. Nice
What are
words.
you, Anil? What's your tip?
My simple tip, guys, is it's Friday night. Have a nice stimulating beverage and have a snack along with it. You get a lot of brilliant ideas. It's never failed to inspire. So that's my tip. May the best team win. Looking forward to it. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for all you people joining in on a Friday night. It's a pleasure to host you. Look forward to interacting with many of you in the days to come. Thank you very much. Thank you once again, Praveen, Inder, Maha, for taking your time out. And thank you, Salil. Thank you, the Dare to Compete team, for hosting this. Seems like a fairly seamless platform, and we were live through and through. So thank you. Thank you for a great evening. Cheers. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, everyone.